All right, thanks, guys. The Royals take on the Yankees, 1:05 p.m. Eastern first pitch. The New York Yankees are minus 195 with the total at 9.5 juice to the under. The Royals are plus 165 for some money line cash. And if you like them on the run line, they're minus $1.15 catching the 1.5. Brad Keller for Kansas City. Jameson Taillon for New York. And of course, following another bad day on my Patreon page, no real surprise there. We did somehow manage to improve to 2-0 in our last two extra daily pick tier package plays on that Patreon website. And if you want to access today's extra daily pick tier package play, it's only going to cost you just $2.99. We also won 3 out of our last 4 extra daily picks in that very same category. Thank God for that category, because if I didn't have it, I'd probably have no website right now. But anyway, we currently have over 1,100 members who are signed up and active on that site. And if you want to see which one of these YouTube picks I'm actually betting on personally here today, don't forget to check me out at patreon.com/BrockPage. And like I said, thank goodness for the extra daily pick, because we've been ice cold and everything else. And I'm flustered. I'm tired of losing. But anyway, the Yankees have struggled cashing in on the run line at home. Out of their 38 home games thus far, the Yankees have successfully cashed in on the run line just 14 times. This New York lineup is also in the bottom 3 in strikeouts at the plate. And they're averaging just 3.8 runs a game at Yankee Stadium. They also have Jameson Taillon on the bump here today. 1-4 record with a 5.59 ERA. Now, the righty's also got himself a 1.34 whip. They're taking on a Kansas City squad who's 20-15 against the number when they travel. Their pitching staff is also in the top 10 in road strikeouts, and they hold their opponents to less than 7.4 hits a game when they travel. And as shaky as Brad Keller's looked this year, he still got himself 64 strikeouts thus far in the season. That's one more than his counterpart, Jameson Taillon. Now, total-wise, Kansas City's 20-15 to the under as the away team. I'm going to lean toward the Kansas City Royals plus 1.5 and the under 9.5 runs. I'm going to try to collect it, bring it back in. As you can tell, I'm flummoxed by my performance in my betting life recently. But we're going to get back. Hey, we got to keep firing. We got to keep going. But don't get me wrong, I'm pissed off right now. But anyway, next game, A's Rangers, 2:05 Eastern Standard Time. A's are minus 145, numbers 8. Bassett for Oakland, Allard for Texas. Last place Rangers are 20 games below 500. They're also in the bottom 10 in runs allowed, and they give up over 9.1 hits a game. They're taking on an Oakland squad who's 20-13 straight up in their road games. They've also cashed in on the run line in 64% of those games away from home. The A's are currently in the top 5 in fewest walks allowed on the road. They're also holding their opponents to just 3.9 runs a game as the road team as well. Chris Bassett, 7-2 with a 3.40 ERA and a 1.06 whip. And the righties also struck out 98 batters in just over 92 innings of work. Now, total-wise, Oakland's 19-14 to the under when they bat first. Texas is 22-15 to the under at Globe Life Field. I'm going to lean toward the Oakland A's minus 1.5 and the under 8 runs. Next game, Orioles Blue Jays, 7:07 East. Toronto's minus 185, numbers 10.5. Anthony Kay for Toronto, Dean Kramer for Baltimore. Kramer's 0-6 with a 6.20 ERA and a 1.48 whip. The last place Orioles are on a 5-game losing streak, and they also lost 13 out of their last 14. Not only does Baltimore have the fewest wins in the American League, they've gotten the W in just 11 of 36 road games. They're taking on a Toronto club who's on a 4-game winning streak themselves. And they also rank in the top 3 in hits. Vlad Guerrero Jr. is first in the majors in homers, RBI, and OPS. The Sluggers hit 23 home runs and knocked in 60. He also has an OPS of 1.106. Marcus Semien has also hit 18 homers on the year, along with 42 RBI. This Toronto lineup's in the top 10 in the league in scoring on average per contest. When it comes to the total in this one, 2 out of Toronto's last 3 home games got over the number. 17-12 to the over, for the entire season at home. Meanwhile, the O's went 7-3 to the over in their last 10 outings themselves, 3-1 to the over in their last 4 road games. I'm going to lean toward the Toronto Blue Jays minus 185 and the over 10.5. Next game, Astros Tigers, 7:10 p.m. East. The Houston Astros are minus 230, totals 9.5. Luis Garcia for Houston, Jose Urena for Detroit. Now, Urena's just 2-7 on the season, 5.79 ERA and a 1.59 WHIP. The Tigers are currently 10 games under 500, and they rank in the bottom 3 in strikeouts at the plate. The Tigers hitters are averaging double-digit strikeouts, and they're scoring just 3.8 runs a game on their home field. They're taking on a first-place Houston club who won their last 10 straight, and they find themselves 18 games above 500. Now, the Astros also lead the majors in runs and hits. Michael Brantley's leading the majors in batting average. The outfielder's hitting .356 at the plate. Meanwhile, Yuli Gurriel, he's in the top 15 in both batting average and RBI. The first baseman's hitting .328 with 51 runs batted in. This Houston pitching staff allows just 3.9 runs a game, and they're holding their opponents to under 7.1 hits per contest on the road. When it comes to the total in this one, 3 out of Houston's last 4 road games got over the line, 80% to the over in their last 10 as well. Meanwhile, the Tigers went 60% to the over in their last 10 outings themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Houston Astros minus 1.5 and the over 9.5 runs. Next one, Braves Reds, 7:10 Eastern first pitch. Now this game's currently off the board. Tony Santillan for Cincinnati, Sean Newcomb possibly for Atlanta, although that is not confirmed yet. And of course, Ozuna and d'Arnaud are obviously still out for Atlanta. Ronald Acuna is also questionable. The Braves currently are 3 games below 500. And they've gotten the W in only 15 out of 33 road games. This Braves lineup's in the bottom 10 in hits. They're averaging less than 7.6 hits a game. Now, their pitching staff is also in the bottom 10 in striking batters out on the road. They are taking on a Cincinnati Reds team who currently leads the majors in home scoring. Now, Nick Castellanos, he's in the top 10 in both batting average and OPS. The outfielder is batting .340 with an OPS of .976. Meanwhile, Jesse Winker is in the top 5 in both batting average and OPS himself. Winker's hitting .333 with an OPS of 1.002. Jesse's also hit 17 home runs on the season. Meanwhile, pitching-wise, the Reds are in the top 10 in strikeouts at home. They're fanning 10.3 batters a game at the Great American Ballpark. I'm going to go ahead and lean toward the Cincinnati Reds winning this one outright for some money line cash. All right, next matchup, little divisional rivalry here. This game's for first place. Obviously, these two teams bouncing back and forth. I'm talking about the Red Sox versus the Rays, 7:10 p.m. Eastern start time. Tampa Bay's minus 115, totals 9. Michael Wacha for the Rays, Nick Pivetta for Boston. Now, Pavetta's 6-3 with 83 strikeouts on the year. The first place Red Sox have won 5 out of their last 8. And they actually play their best baseball on the road. Now, in addition to being 14 games above 500, the Red Sox have gone 24-13 straight up in their games away from home. Boston is currently in the top 3 in road scoring. Xander Bogaerts is in the top 10 in the league in both batting average and OPS. The shortstop is hitting .324 with an OPS of .940. Meanwhile, Rafael Devers is leading the majors in RBI. He's batted in 60 runners already. He's also hit 18 home runs. They're taking on a Rays club who lost 7 out of their last 8. This Tampa Bay lineup also leads the majors in strikeouts at the plate. They're fanning 10.5 times a game. They're also averaging less than 7.3 hits a game at the Trop. Michael Wacha comes into today's start with a 1-2 record and a 5.19 ERA. The righty also has a whip of 1.38. I'm going to lean toward the underdog Boston Red Sox plus $1 and the under 9 runs. Next ball game, Nationals Marlins, 7:10 p.m. East. The Washington Nationals are minus $1.15, numbers 8.5. Joe Ross for Washington, Cody Poteet for Miami. Now Poteet's got a 3.90 ERA and a 1.12 WHIP. The Marlins are in the top 10 in fewest hits allowed per game at home. They're also allowing just 3.2 runs a game at Lone Depot Park. They're taking on a Washington club who still has a losing road record despite the recent success. The Nationals have been victorious in just 14 out of 32 road games, and they average only 3.8 runs per contest on the offensive side of things. Now, Joe Ross also comes into today's contest with a 3-7 record and a 4.54 ERA. When it comes to the total on this one, Washington has gone 70% to the under in their last 10 outings, 20-12 to the under when they travel. Meanwhile, the Marlins went 7-3 to the under in their last 10 themselves, 20-12 to the under at Lone Depot Park. I'm going to lean toward the Miami Marlins plus $1 and the under 8.5. Next contest, it is going to be Indians versus the Twins, 8:10 Eastern first pitch. The Minnesota Twins are minus 185, totals 9. Jose Barrios for Minnesota, JC Mejia for Cleveland. Now Mejia's just 1-2 on the season with a 6.11 ERA. The Indians have lost 3 out of their last 5 ball games, and they're also in the bottom 5 in the league in hits on average per contest. This Cleveland lineup is averaging less than 7.4 hits per game. They're taking on a Minnesota club who won 5 out of their last 6, and they also rank in the top 10 in hits. Nelson Cruz is in the top 10 in the league in both batting average and OPS. The Sluggers hitting .306 at the plate with an OPS of .952. Meanwhile, Josh Donaldson's got 21 extra base hits along with 27 ribbies. Now, Minnesota's also got Jose Barrios on the bump here today, so even if they don't score a lot of runs, they may not need him. The righty's 7-2 on the season with a 3.56 ERA and a 1.09 WHIP. Now, total-wise, Minnesota saw 3 out of their last 4 home games get over the line, 24-13 to the over for the entire season at home as well. Meanwhile, the Indians went 60% to the over in their last 10 themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Minnesota Twins minus 185 and the over 9 runs. Next matchup, Pirates, Cards, 8:15 East. The St. Louis Cardinals are minus 160, totals 9. Chad Kuhl for Pittsburgh, Carlos Martinez for St. Louis. Now, St. Louis has a winning record at home this season. They're in the top 10 in fewest hits allowed per 9. The Cards are actually holding their opponents to less than 7.4 hits per contest. They're taking on a last-place Pittsburgh club who's 20 games below 500, and they rank last in the majors in scoring. This Pirate lineup averages just 2.9 runs a game when they travel, and less than 7.6 hits a game as well. Now, out of Pittsburgh's 35 road games, they've gotten the W just 10 times. When it comes to the scoring in this one, Pittsburgh's 21-14 to the under when they travel. Now, St. Louis is 21-13 to the under at Busch Stadium. I'm going to lean toward the St. Louis Cardinals minus 160 and the under 9 runs. And with that, we're going to jump into our next and final matchup for the show. It is going to be Cubs versus the Dodgers, 10:10 p.m. Eastern start time. The LA Dodgers are minus 260, numbers 8.5. Walker Buehler for Los Angeles, Zach Davies for Chicago. Now, Davies has a 4.66 ERA and a 1.49 WHIP. Chicago's also dropped 6 out of their last 9, and they have a losing record on the road. Out of Chicago's 35 games away from home, they've gotten the W just 15 times. This Cubbies lineup is also averaging less than 7.3 hits a game. They're taking on a Dodgers club who's gone 23-12 straight up at home this year. LA's also leading the majors in walks at the plate, top 3 in scoring. Now, Max Muncy, he's in the top 10 in the majors in OPS. The first baseman has been walked 48 times and has an OPS of .953. Meanwhile, Justin Turner has hit a dozen homers and knocked in 39. And of course, when it comes to the pitching in this game here, the Dodgers allow only 3.5 runs a game at home, and they average nearly 11 strikeouts a game at Dodger Stadium. Of course, Walker Buehler, he's a perfect 7-0 thus far in the year, 2.38 ERA, .90 WHIP. When it comes to the total, the Dodgers' last 4 straight home games stayed under the line. Chicago went 70% to the under in their last 10. I'm going to lean toward the LA Dodgers minus 1.5 and the under 8.5 runs. With that, guys, now it's time for our quick pick recap, powered to you by my Patreon website. I like Kansas City plus 1.5, under 9.5. Oakland minus 1.5, under 8 runs. Toronto minus 185, over 10.5. Houston minus 1.5, over 9.5. I like Cincinnati winning that one outright for some money line cash. I'm also leaning toward Boston plus $1 and the under 9 runs. Give me Miami plus $1, under 8.5. I also like Minnesota minus 185, over 9 runs. I like St. Louis minus 160, under 9 runs. And before I give you my next and final free pick for the video, one final reminder that despite how crappy I've been with my premium picks on Patreon lately, we're still 2-0 in our last 2 extra daily pick tier package plays on that Patreon site. We're also 3-1 in our last 4 extra daily pick tier package plays in that very same category. I'm still really pissed off at how bad I've been lately, and no excuse for it. But thank God for the extra daily pick. You know, we can actually win a few games. But anyway, I'm going to lean toward the LA Dodgers minus 1.5 and the under 8.5 runs. And with that, guys, we're going to jump into some shout outs to our top 10 YouTube commenters over the past couple of days or so. Shout out to Shane Gary, Gerald Pulaski, Dollar Bills. Shout out to Maya Doan. Shout out to I Never Lose Mo. Maybe I Never Lose Mo could help me out. Shout out to Adam A, Alex G, Joe M, Edward Hunt. And last but certainly not least, got to give a shout out to my man, Bobby Guerrero. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on Patreon. If you guys end up getting a package here today on my Patreon site, just keep in mind, Patreon's going to bill you the day you sign up and then the first of every month following that. So if you do end up getting a package here today, you're going to get access to that content through the end of June. And then Patreon's going to bill you again on July 1st if you opt in. So I always tell people the earlier in the month you sign up, the better. But if you feel like there's value in there and you want to get signed up, if you sign up today, you're going to get access to my Patreon content through the end of June. But most importantly, guys, got to thank you for sticking with me. Got to thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. I really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. And with that said, happy Thursday to you. Best of luck to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage.